Welcome to Love, Life, and Marriage with
The Woods.
I am Seiko.
And I'm Sharon.
And welcome to our channel. Please do the following. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell at the bottom of this video. That way, whenever we go live or post any content, you'll be one of the very first to view it. Also, if you'd like to support the ministry financially, you can do that through the donation information posted below this video. BCV gear, merchandise. You can also purchase those things below at the link at the bottom of this video as well. We are at home. I don't know why my wife has the giggles. Do not know why.
I just hit the mic again. Sorry, y'all.
So yeah, we're now testing out these mics that we have, noise reduction mics. We were told and were suggested to get some. So I finally got some wireless mics. So we didn't want to have the one with the cords all over the place and tripping and falling and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully the sound is better than what it was before. But we're in our home, actually in the kitchen or dining room, or what do you call this?
This is the kitchenette.
Okay, so yeah. Anyway, so we're here. My wife. I was going to be walking around with her, but she is thawing out her food for dinner today. So we are going to discuss a topic. And I know it's kind of, few days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, but we wanted to share our insights. Now, I'm going to tell you probably it is going to be a difference of opinion between me and she. We'll find. I believe it is. I believe it. I have my own view about this Matt Chandler situation.
Okay, well, I have mine too.
Okay, well, I don't think we're going to agree. I don't think we're going to agree with it, but
okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I need my glasses. I'm going to get my glasses. Do you need your glasses? Oh, yeah, I got your glasses. You need to get your phone and put it on mute because I don't have any. Yeah, you do. I'll be right back. Let her talk.
Calling me.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead and talk to the people.
Anyway, y'all, and then we have Apollos, of course, and he's following people around and standing right here by my leg.
Yeah, not behaving himself, of course.
You have to sit down.
Sit down.
You can't play with that pig right now.
Sit down.
Drop it. Drop it. Thank you.
Anyway, so
it's wet.
You want a paper towel here?
I just wiped it on my leg.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all. So I just have my own thoughts about the situation. Not heard some people talk about it, but there have been some other developments that have come forward with this. So anyway, do you want to, I guess, share your view about this whole situation? Because I told you when I first heard about it, I said,
well, why don't we give the background first?
Okay, so the background is, bottom line, Matt Chandler was he decided to step down for an indefinite period of time due to an online conversation that he had with the woman who was not his wife, and the elders thought it would be best for him to do that. It was disciplinary and also developmental from what they said. Now, it was not sexual. It was not a romantic relationship. It wasn't any type of, impropriety that would, of a physical nature. It was just, from what they stated, was frequent and what was the term? It was unwise frequency and familiarity with the woman who was not his spouse. Now, I have my position regarding the situation. My wife has hers, and we're going to, I guess, see where we land with this. So, your thighness. Would you care to?
Your what?
Your thighness. Yep. I got nicknames for mine. I call her thickums. I call her thickness. I call you your thighness. Your finest. All that. Anyway, so you give people your thoughts about what you heard so far. Now,
right.
Okay. And I think this is where we kind of like disagree a little bit, because I told you we've had relationships with people, and I'm like, if that's the case, then my goodness. But
okay. So first of all, I don't think that, because you're comparing what he went through with relationships that we've had with people. He didn't have that kind of relationship with this chick.
That's not true.
They were not like bosom buddies and hanging out all the time.
I'm going based on the report here, and I can read this article. This is from the Baptist Global.
So they were like best friends.
Well, the woman that basically was offended was not the wife.
Right.
She was a friend of the wife. But
right.
But the wife and the husband had no problem. Keyword, I'm saying, no problem.
Did they have the same type of relationship with Matt Chandler and his wife as you and I had with the couple that we're talking about?
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to assume, yeah, because the elders are charging Matt with familiarity and frequency.
But you would be familiar with someone that you're best friends with.
Okay, so then that makes my point. So here's my thing. I'm just gonna cut to the chase, y'all. Okay, see, well, you asked me. Can you ask me a question?
Yeah, but
then go ahead. Then okay, well, shoot. Go ahead.
Anyway,
go ahead.
So I was saying that, yes, you're gonna have familiarity, whatever, with someone that you are close with, someone that you do life with. I think that's a little different, but I haven't read this, so I don't know.
Okay, so I'm gonna read some highlighted portions of it.
Go ahead.
This again is from the Baptist News. Okay, the Baptist News. It says, quote, a friend defends Matt Chandler. The eldest issues a statement and nothing else is any clearer. That's the date. And it was dated for September 7th of this year. It says, if you thought the Matt Chandler situation couldn't get more peculiar, guess again. Chandler's August 8th announcement that he would take an indefinite leave of absence from preaching and teaching at the Village Church north of Dallas had generated endless commentary from other Christian leaders who think something doesn't add up. Chandler confessed to exchanging unwise direct messages with a woman who was not his wife.
So what is unwise?
Okay,
what does that mean?
That I guess that's up for grabs because it depends on who would deem.
Right.
I guess the elders deemed it as being unwise.
So they told him that it was unwise.
It was unwise, and Chandler agreed with their conclusion and their assessment. I got to do something real quick because I think I make sure my settings is right. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry, because I don't want nobody messing up my stuff. Yeah, whatever. This is where we at. Where my thing at? Here we go. There. Right there. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So, they considered it unwise. Okay. It says Chandler confessed to exchanging, quote, unwise, end quote, direct messages with a woman who was not his wife. Now, and I'm just going to read some highlighted portions of this article.
Okay.
A September 1st message from one of Chandler's friends claims the situation is overblown. Now, his friend, Preston Sprinkle, is a friend of Matt Chandler. He, along with other individuals, along with other ministry leaders, and even some people that I spoke with, believe that this situation is taken, and it's been overblown and blown out of proportion. But and I believe, and I would have to agree to it to a degree. Why? But let me just read some of what the article said. It says the assessment came from Preston Sprinkle, an evangelical author and president of the Center for Faith, Sexuality, and Gender. Now, I don't know who Preston Sprinkle is. I don't know what his doctrinal positions are or anything like that. But his view regarding this situation is not, it's not isolated. It's a few other people. I'll say more people than what we would realize or even want to consider have the same, concerns regarding how this situation was handled. It kind of raises some red flags. But he says, in the post shared by those groups, and it was some people that basically shared the comments, and I'll just read it. He says, Sprinkle's comments reportedly were sent to his financial supporters via Patreon, but BNG could not independently verify the source since the messages are available only to donors. However, an image of the message was captured and reported as verified by a few online bloggers, including the far-right reform site Protestia. They are. Yeah. The website, the Evangelical Dark Web, and the Instagram account Wrecked Wretch. Now, in this statement, and I thought I may have had it, I may have to get up and go get it because I just had it in I had printed a copy of it. But in the post shared by those groups, Sprinkle said he has spoken to Chandler twice about what happened and has spoken with an 18-year employee of the church. Quote, the church's messaging framed it in some pretty negative terms that could be misconstrued, he reported.
Okay.
It says, as for Chandler's actual transgression, quote, he basically violated the Billy Graham rule.
Which is?
That's a reference to a long-standing and much vaunted policy of the late evangelist Billy Graham, who never would be alone under any circumstance with a woman as to avoid even a hint of impropriety.
Okay.
Now that's present. That's being alone with a woman. That's spatial, physical, face-to-face relationship. I get that. Totally understand that.
Right.
But that wasn't the case.
We hold to that.
Okay, right. But that wasn't the case here.
Right. It wasn't. This was
online.
Direct
inbox, direct messaging.
Right.
Okay. And both spouses were aware of that. I cannot stress.
Carlos,
you got to sit down somewhere.
I'll
put you back in your kennel. You get on my nerve now. See, this is what I told you about this black dog. I told you that he needed to be put up, but no, you want to let him run around because you want to have be free. All black dogs matter. But anyway, it says this is a reference to a policy that Billy Graham had that he would never be alone with a woman that's not his wife.
Right.
Okay.
So so I think just based on that alone, the church has, somehow misconstrued what took place.
Okay.
And well, I had already came to that conclusion before when I heard about what the actual messages contained.
Okay, but then we
talked about that.
with that a little bit.
No, we disagreed with, I guess, more along the lines of, at the beginning, more along the lines of the continual conversation, the frequency, right?
Okay.
We talked about that.
And then, but my response to you was, if that's like, I'm talking to somebody that's married, and both you and the husband are aware of it, and y'all don't have a problem with it. That's what the issue. And I'm going to read this article. Okay, if it would be one thing if both spouses or one of the spouses took issue or umbrage with this frequency and familiarity issue. That's
what I was saying though. But it could have been at some point, and they just had not addressed it as of yet until this came out. And him or her, the husband or the wife, could have been saying in the back of their mind, okay, well, yeah, I kind of noticed that, but I just wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, well, let's see what else this article says then. It says Graham's ministry, of course, played out before social media and direct messaging were available. But the Village Church and Chandler appear to have applied Graham's rule to text conversations in the modern setting. While Chandler said his frequent messaging with the friend who is a woman included some coarse joking, those comments were not about sex, even sexual innuendo, Sprinkle said. The quote, coarse joking, end quote, was jokes about alcohol.
Okay.
And the big issue was that his DM relationship seemed too familiar for someone he didn't know terribly well in person.
Yeah, that's where the issue is.
So then let's continue on then, because this is what they're saying, right?
But is that what, are they assuming that they didn't have?
I'm just reading what I have. Okay, it says Sprinkle, which is Preston Sprinkle, then answers a common question that has surfaced in reaction to the disciplinary action taken against Chandler by both his church and the Acts 29 network, which he leads. Quote, this is what Preston Sprinkle is saying.
Okay.
To be clear, the woman he was messaging wasn't at all offended and told Matt, "Don't you dare apologize. You did nothing wrong." It was the woman's friend who lives by a very strict Billy Graham type of rule that was offended that Matt was DMing a married woman, even though Matt's wife and the woman's husband was fully aware of it. Okay. That's my problem, dear.
Okay.
That is so my problem.
Okay. So they were aware of it.
Both of them were aware.
Yeah.
So, and I think we talked about this before. So the question is, okay, the wife or the wife that had the conversation with this woman,
Mm-hmm.
apparently, I'm looking at this as an issue of either maturity or the lack thereof, or what
She
precipitated.
just has a different view on it. And I guess she noticed it. I guess because she was friends with this lady, the
Yeah.
lady that said something to Matt, right?
And they must have been talking,
Right.
and
They had to have been talking about it, or
and she either saw
but
it or
she would have
whatever.
had to have seen the messages
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So okay, so I guess my thing was, if the wife had no problem with it,
Mm-hmm.
she, I guess, was assuming that this woman wouldn't have had a problem with the conversations that her and Matt Chandler had.
Yeah.
That she held by this Billy Graham rule.
Mhm.
Now, notice what I'm saying: the Billy Graham rule, not the Bible rule.
Right. Okay. But okay, so let's talk about this on the
Okay,
flip side.
please.
Because what you and I were discussing is that even though you have Matt and this lady,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
They were, and they're assuming, we don't know for sure if there was that he knew her well in person. You know, that
Yeah,
they were like,
that's the assumption. Yeah, that's the assumption.
Best buddies, and they hung out.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, and him and the lady and her husband.
That's the assumption. That's the assumption.
We don't know that part.
Right.
But what I was saying is that sometimes, and I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes this can breed things that we don't expect.
I agree.
That we are not putting a proper hedge around
totally
our
agree.
Marriages.
Totally agree.
Because when they say familiarity, and you become very familiar with someone, to me, that leaves you vulnerable.
I agree. I understand that.
And I guess that maybe the church was trying to protect him as a leader and protect her and her marriage with her husband, even though they knew, and they were like, okay, yeah, that's cool. It's no big deal. They were just chatting, no big deal. But the more you become familiar with someone, the more emotionally attached you become with this person.
Okay, I got that. I guess my concern then is, or question is, if both parties, the couples, were aware of it, then it's also presupposed that there was nothing that was being hidden.
No.
Okay,
there didn't have to be anything hidden.
I'm saying reason why I'm mentioning that is because if that's the case, then both spouses, they said they had no problem with what was I'm just going to assume that they knew each other more than maybe what has been perceived. Had to be, because I would consider a person like Matt Chandler. He just give it his contact information or his
I mean, it could have been like I don't know if this woman's a part of ministry. I don't know if she's a part of leadership. I don't know.
I don't know either. And I would agree, yes, we, as pastors, because I'm one, we have to be careful with who we interact with. This is one of the reasons why I record conversations. This is one of the reasons why my wife has access to all my devices, my codes and all that kind of stuff. And this is another reason why she don't have to worry about me having conversation with somebody that she doesn't have to be able to check, that she can't be able to check. The thing that I guess I'm looking at is from the aspect is, I can understand, or I could have taken this to even be more so if one of these spouses had an issue and this was an ongoing thing. I would be like, you know what? Yeah.
But that's easy. Like you say, that's low hanging fruit.
Okay.
I mean, that's easy.
Okay. But I think also the coarse joking about alcohol. This is one of the reasons.
What you could say about alcohol.
But see, this is my point. This is one of the reasons why I said I would like to see the conversation, because coarse joking for some people may not be coarse joking for others,
right.
And I understand the whole aspect and mentality regarding pastors being held to a different okay, but then who determines that?
Right.
I mean, this is why I'm very leery when it comes to people trying to dictate how you move and what you do. And here's the reason why I'm saying it, because they involved a secular or an outside source to deal with Matt Chandler. Here's what it says right here. It says, Sprinkle reports more information than either the church or Chandler have put forward, including that an independent organization scoured his electronics and found no porn and no other inappropriate or romantic sort of messaging. The situation is so overblown, Sprinkle said, that if we applied the same standard to all the speakers, I'm not sure I'd be able to have any speakers at the conference. And so, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have parameters and things. Of course we should, especially those who are ministers of the gospel, because we know how the enemy can move. But I'm still looking at this aspect of the spouses. If both of them said, okay, we didn't see a problem with this, and I'm not saying that just because they didn't say that made it any less serious. But what I am saying is that where are we putting the perspectives of the spouses in regards to these types of situations? Because and
we haven't heard from them,
and probably won't.
Right.
From what Sprinkle said, the wife told Matt, you had nothing to apologize. You did nothing wrong. And I don't believe he did anything wrong. Is it an issue of wisdom? Yes, it's an issue of wisdom. It can be an issue of preference as well too. And I know people don't like that word, but it is. Now, I would say also, if Matt was aware that this was the rule of the church, of the elders,
right,
that hey, these are some things that we don't allow, don't tolerate, and things like that. But then, if he was not aware of that, I believe that this is overreach.
Yeah,
I believe that this could be a possible issue to where this could have been handled. I'll put it this way: this could have been handled
in-house,
and say, you know what? Hey, let's chill with this.
Yeah,
this is only one person.
I agree.
I think this was. I kind of side with what Sprinkle is saying, that this situation was kind of blown out of proportion, because it wasn't a pattern where he was approached by the elders and he refused, or I'm just and I'm not a Matt Chandler.
This wasn't a Carl Lentz situation.
No, exactly. And I'm not a Matt Chandler, fan and nothing like that, and don't really care for his woke theology either. But right is right and wrong is wrong, and I just think that this could have been an issue that could have been dealt with differently. But again, I'm not one of the elders there, but I do agree that yes, we have to be careful with our interactions with people of the opposite sex. But I also am concerned with how if we can be so legalistic and so stringent to where just because a person has a conversation with someone and because you don't like it, that makes it wrong.
Right.
And I think that's
right. And I think that's where the lady comes in. Her friend or whatever she was to her, overstepped her bounds and trying to hold him to a standard that she wants to hold him to.
Yeah.
And if the church is not, if that's not something that they've had in writing, that's not something that they've had for the leadership, as far as how they conduct themselves as elders, then I don't know, where else he would, how else he would fall into that. Yeah, or where he would stand as far as that goes.
Yeah. So what the process might be also is unknown. It says, quote, a statement now posted on the church's website says the elders commissioned an independent law firm.
Wow.
An independent law firm to conduct a review of Matt's.
Wait. What would you need legal? There's no illegal.
This is why
there's nothing illegal going on here.
This is why I don't agree with it. This is why I don't agree how the situation was handled. I think that this, and we may never know, but how this is being played out, it looks sus to me. That's just me. Why would you involve? Why would you involve outside sources to deal with a church? That is so. So then they don't know how to. 1 Corinthians 5.
Right. Then they don't know how to deal with issues within the church. Then what's the point of having a plurality of elders if the elders are not capable?
And it's not a sin issue. You already say he's not disqualified.
Right.
But you're telling him he needs to step down for disciplinary and developmental reasons. I'm like,
well, if it's not a sin issue, then why would he need to step down?
Well, it says here, Matt's messaging.
It's a preference of the leadership.
It says the investigators' report led the elders to conclude that Matt violated our internal social media use policies. And more importantly, that while the overarching pattern of his life has been above reproach, he failed to meet the First Timothy standard for elders of being above reproach in this instance. So you're talking about one time?
Wow.
You already said it wasn't sexual. You already said it wasn't romantic. You already said it wasn't anything that was impropriety, anything like that. Okay, it was an unwise, a thing that he did.
They could have just pulled him to the side and just gave him a warning and said, "Hey, look, you might want to be careful about this, and talk to the lady too, and just said, hey,
yeah,
y'all might want to watch out for this."
Yeah, but again, saying that he violated or violated the Billy Graham rule. Okay, Billy Graham ain't Jesus,
right?
And I'm not saying that his rule is not good to follow. I'm not saying it because we follow it, but we're talking about avoiding the appearance of evil. That's what Scripture teaches us to do. You know what I'm saying? But what was evil about this? What was sinful? Okay, now of course, joking again. Who defines that?
Right.
And then it was about alcohol. You already said it wasn't sexual. You already said it wasn't romantic. It wasn't no soul tie.
So then, what could you possibly be talking about alcohol? That's
why I said I would like to see the message.
Unless they follow the rule of none of their leadership can have alcohol.
Yeah, we don't know.
So
I'm just putting these things out there. But it says also, the report continues, we are strong proponents of brothers and sisters in Christ being friends. But there are boundaries around what's appropriate in these kinds of friendships. A pastoral role requires a greater awareness of those boundaries. In this case, while the messages were not romantic or sexual in nature, the frequency and familiarity of the messages crossed the line. What line? That's all. I'm just because again, if I'm just reading the report. It said, even though Matt's wife and the woman's husband was fully aware of it. If they were aware of the familiarity and the frequency of these conversations with Pastor Matt Chandler.
So this next sentence here.
Yes. They revealed that Matt did not use language appropriate for a pastor, and he did not model a behavior that we expect from him. Okay, so
he probably used a cuss word or something, and they didn't like that.
Could be.
With the female.
It could be. It could be. And I would say that should have been handled
right
in-house.
That could have been,
because God help any of us if one time I'm talking about no sex issue. We're talking about, okay, so you telling me you never cussed, you never said anything inappropriate to something.
So if we did the same thing to all of those other men who are on the panel or who are on the elder board,
right?
What would we find there?
I'm just saying, and please, y'all, when y'all watch this video, please don't act as though we are condoning sin. We're not.
Right.
I'm just.
Well, they clearly said that it wasn't anything sinful.
That's why I'm saying. So he stepped down because the elders. Here's what it says. I'll just read what it says. And while the elders believe that this did not rise to the level of disqualification, we do hold elders to a higher standard of behavior. The elders concluded, and Matt agreed, that Matt's behavior was a sign of unhealth in his life.
What?
And that the best course of action would be for him to take a leave of absence from teaching and preaching at the village church. Matt's leave of absence is both disciplinary and so then, okay. When I think of discipline, I think of Matthew 18, 1 Corinthians 5.
And you discipline for sin issues.
Yes.
You don't discipline for something that's a preference issue.
Well, again, now they're saying that
he could have fought that.
Well, he didn't want to. And again, I'm just trying to be fair here. I'm just trying to be fair. Again, if they said it's unwise and he agreed, okay, fine. But I'm saying, but where's the spouses involved in that? What does the spouses say about this? Because we always talk about, well, what about the spouse? What about the spouse? What about the spouse? Okay. So I'm going to assume that these spouses are mature. I'm just going to assume that. I'm not going to, we're supposed to assume the best, right? We're supposed to assume the best. So I'm just going to assume that Matt's wife and this wife's husband are mature believers, and since they were aware of it, that would presuppose and imply that they saw the conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm just putting this out there, if they didn't have a problem with it, then why would this woman make this issue a federal case?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. In other words, what business is it of yours? Just, and again, I have parameters in place when I talk to women. Trust and believe, you may be recorded, ma'am, sister in the Lord, because see, some of y'all, I've been burned one time. When we first started doing ministry, it took one time. My wife said, "From now on,
yep.
From now on,
that is it.
That's it. That's a wrap. If y'all talking about chewing gum, you better have it documented. You better be in the presence of somebody that could be in either an earshot or you record it, because some of y'all don't walk with integrity. Y'all try to set people up, and too many people who have lost ministries because of people have lied to try to set them up. To give off something that was not there. Now, again, I'm not trying to make excuses for this. Yes, we are to be wise in how we walk, not as unwise. That's what Ephesians 5 tells us to do. But I do believe that this situation here, and maybe some more would come out. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to see the messages.
We probably won't see them.
I know, but
a few other people want to see the messages.
Or somebody. Well, I would think that nosy chick that probably would have put out the messages. But
okay, so let me ask you before we wrap this up. How would you have handled this?
I just would have pulled her to the side and talked to her myself.
So say it was me talking to we ain't gonna use a name, but we saw him in church today. Okay, and actually sometimes she'll shoot me a message in the morning. She's a teacher. She works at the school, so she goes.
Right.
So I'm saying, but what if? I mean, you see it, and maybe she was talking to somebody, and she was like, "No, me and Pastor Woods talk about this, whatever." And somebody had an issue with it, and went to Pastor so and so at the church we attend now. And they pulled me to the side and wanted to talk to me or whatever, and then they came talk to you. What would you? I mean, how would you deal with that?
Well, first of all, I would have to see the messages.
Right.
Secondly, I would say, okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with her asking him a question or bringing something to his attention that she wanted to get clarification on?
Okay.
And then I would bring her husband in as well. Okay.
And so you and the other husband didn't have a problem with it. But the elders do.
They would have to tell me biblically why.
Well, because they said the frequency and familiarity of it and the coarse joking. I'm just saying it's the same scenario. Yes, same scenario. And I'm asking y'all, ladies and gentlemen, because this is I'm not asking for no scripted answer. I want you to tell the audience, because maybe they may disagree with you, and may disagree with me, may disagree with both of us. We don't know. But I'm just saying, what if the situation were reversed and this was me?
Like I said, I would have to see the messages. First of all, I would need to see the messages.
Okay. And you should have a right.
And then once I see that, my question to the leadership would be, okay, tell me where the sin is. And if you can't point me to that, then we're going to have a back and forth issue then, because I'm not going to allow you to, quote unquote, discipline or punish my husband for something that was not sinful. It was just a preference issue that y'all wanted to hold him as a standard to.
Okay, so, and they said it was unwise.
Okay, fine.
It was unwise in the familiarity, Sister Woods, and the frequency of this message between Pastor Woods and Sister so and so. We believe violate. What's the term here? We believe violated our internal social media use policies. And it was
your internal social media policies Is there a scripture reference for that?
And that Pastor Woods failed to meet the standard of being above reproach in this particular instance. If that's what it says. Yeah.
See now.
I'm just asking. It says I failed, even though while the overarching pattern of his life has been above reproach,
Mm-hmm.
he failed to meet
so
the first
now
Timothy
you're going
standard.
to judge someone based on one incident in their life. So then let us do the same for you.
Okay. Well. Okay.
Let us do the same for you. You screw up one time. Let me talk to your wife and ask her how many times you screwed up in a week, and see if that remains above reproach.
So the screwing up would denote sin then, would it? Would the screwing up denote sin, or would it denote unwise? It would it denote unwise? Which one?
It could be unwise.
Okay.
But I mean, we do unwise stuff all the time.
True. Okay. Yes, I agree.
That's why we have confession and repentance, because we mess up sometimes. Okay. When we mess up, we sin. Okay, we've actually sinned.
Yes.
We've asked the Lord for forgiveness, or whoever we've sinned against, we ask for forgiveness.
Yes.
But if we have, how should I put it? Okay, you make an unwise choice.
Mm-hmm.
That choice does not necessarily mean sinful.
Okay.
Right?
Right, I agree. Yeah, it could be an issue of wisdom or preference.
Right.
Okay.
So then you really wouldn't have anything to say you're sorry about.
So then what? But okay, so the wife
say,
said,
"Okay, I'll try to do better next time."
Right. Okay, so the wife said that he didn't do anything wrong. I would assume that the husband probably felt the same way. Just assuming that, assuming the best of it. But Matt agreed with the elder's decision. You thinking he should not have agreed with the decision?
No, he should not have.
But he said he felt stupid. He felt dumb. He said that he embarrassed his wife and his children. That this is
But how would you embarrass your wife and children if your wife already knew about the conversation? So why would she be embarrassed?
Okay, good point. Good point.
And then also, it's like we were just talking about. What was the thing we were saying before that? Before you brought up his wife and him being embarrassed about the kids and stuff. There was something we said before that.
About how he felt?
I think so.
He felt stupid. He felt dumb. You said.
So
he felt dumb. He said he agreed with their decision.
So why would you feel that? Because see, that goes to me, in my mind, that goes back to him being in this the culture that we're in now. Wanting to apologize for things you don't have to apologize for. Trying to make compensation for things you don't need to compensate for.
Okay.
So if he's in that mode, if he's in that, and with the CRT stuff, if he's in that kind of mode and that's where his mind is, then that's the same mode that he's in with this instance.
Okay. So then what were your take about the independent investigation? Do you think that was necessary?
No. The elders are supposed to be able to deal with these kinds of things on their own. They shouldn't have to bring in outside sources outside the church.
Right, unless it's
unless it's something illegal.
Right.
This was nothing illegal nor sinful.
Okay.
So why would you have to bring in anything legal to deal with church matters? See, that tells me something else about their leadership. That speaks volumes about their leadership.
Well, me and my buddy, we were talking about that, and I'll tell you who it was off camera. But he matter of fact, I did tell you who it was. He said if his wife said to him, if that was her, he wouldn't go back. If that was her husband, he wouldn't go back. He said she said she believed that it's petty. She believed that was that this was something that could have been handled differently. It was blown out of proportion. It was more about publicity and just making a big to do about nothing. But that's why I had concerns about that. I mean, I talk to women every day, and you know who they are. My phone never is hidden from you, and some of my conversations are recorded. for the most part, most of my conversations will be recorded because I have nothing to hide. But I would say this: I think if we're not careful, the enemy can try to use this and spin it in different ways.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To where you're too liberal and you're too legalistic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a balance with that. You know, if I see you in the lobby talking to a man, you know what I'm saying, I'm not just gonna immediately walk over there and
what you doing? Who you
yeah,
talking
I mean
to?
that's
Why you talking
yeah. I mean,
right.
it's just
that shows insecurity. To me.
Yeah. And then also remember our friendship that we had with our former mentors. You know, and I told you, you know, I would talk to her. I would talk to his wife, and we would talk. We could be talking for hours on end, and it would be frequent as well. And it was familiarity, but it wasn't. But both of y'all were aware of it, and that was my thing. And I know the nature of relationships can you know, it vary and it's different. Right. But then also again, it brings it back to the initial point that we was making. This woman talked to the friend about this, and I'm assuming she didn't think it was a big issue, right? Because if she did, that's why she said to Matt, "You had nothing to apologize for. You did nothing wrong." So I think that maybe she thought in talking and conversing with this other woman that it was no big deal. But the woman,
now I wonder how she did that.
Yeah.
And she did one of them girlfriend conversations. Right. Girl, look, let me show you what Matt was saying. Right. You know, and showed her the phone and blah, blah, blah. Or if she has done that on more than one occasion and said, yeah, I was talking to Matt and look what he said. Right. You know, that kind of
just,
thing.
Lighthearted joking or whatever. Yeah. Just lighthearted conversation. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. And that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of things we may not know. But I think just from a principle standpoint, I believe that this situation could have been dealt with differently than what it had been made.
But did you see my point when I was saying earlier on? Because I read some of this stuff before we did this live. I mean this video. Yeah. So I kind of knew where the church was coming from, and that had kind of changed my thinking before we actually did this. But did you get where I was coming from when I was talking about keeping hedges around your spouse?
Yeah, absolutely. So what else? What I guess in closing, what are some practical ways we can do that?
Well, knowing who your spouse talks to, and I'm not saying in a interrogative way. You're asking them constantly who you talking to, right? You know, that kind of thing. But just being open with your spouse and saying, "Hey, I talked to so and so today, and this is what we discussed." Yeah. You know, that kind of thing, and just kind of flushing it out. Because if you're talking to the opposite sex and you want to get my perspective on it, then you ask me, well, hey, I was talking to so-and-so today. She said this. What do you think about that? Right. But very rarely is it that I talk to guys on the phone by myself. Right. In fact, I can't even think of when I've done that lately.
You really don't. Not that you couldn't, but you just
I just don't.
I have a desire to. Really, most people, they'll say,
nobody.
Hey, they'll say to me, hey, you mind if I, ask your wife a question about this? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. That kind of thing. But usually, it's the other way because of what I do. But also, here's another practical way of keeping hedges. Include your wife and or spouse in those conversations that you have with people of the opposite sex as much as possible. That will reduce any opportunity for the enemy to move and to create confusion as well. And if not your spouse, someone else that you and the wife or spouse trust to be able to be a party to those conversations. Then also go as far as even record it.
Yeah.
Now check the laws in your state. I would say that, but Texas here, one party consent law.
Yep.
We're
able to do that here.
Yeah. So for me, I'll red dot you if I don't trust you.
And no, like we were saying before, we don't counsel the opposite sex alone.
Nope.
I don't counsel men anyway, but I have talked to guys before. Yep. And I'll tell my husband, hey, I work with the guy. Yeah. So I talk to him and I'll give advice and I'll say stuff. But and then when we actually meet in person for physical counseling, my husband is never behind closed doors with a female and I'm not present. Nope. And if I'm not present, somebody else is. Yep.
That's rare when I'm not, if you're not there anyway, it's very rare. But somebody else will be there, will always be there. Right. Always be there. So, but yeah, those are some practical ways with that. I'll say from a leadership standpoint, elders, pastors, you know, take serious the calling that God has for your life, but also exercise grace and understand the same judgment that you put out will be met back to you as well. So we need to be mindful of that and relating to people when it comes to these types of issues.
Yeah.
We know the enemy will try to do nothing more than to create further division and conflict in our churches. So we need to be wise in how we govern ourselves as well. So now, if you have a different thought or perspective with that, please let us know. Leave a comment in this below this video. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about what we just shared with you. Maybe it was a different take on it. Maybe it was something that you have thought about and you have it resonated with you and confirmed some things that you have been thinking about this whole situation. But yeah, leave your thoughts at the bottom of this video as well. Again, you'd like to reach out to us, information is located below. You'd like to support the ministry again financially, you can do that as well by the donation information below. But we do thank you for your time. We appreciate this. We know we've been kind of like out of pocket. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff. Been very, 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 very busy. So we'll try to put out more video content as the opportunity avails itself. But we do thank you all for your support. Again, like this video, share this video, continue to support this ministry and those like us as well. And that's our time. We thank you for yours. And until next time,
Bye.
bye.